Okay, well, it looks like there are those who can see and hear me, so I'll just go ahead and get started. Yeah, here I am up again today after just yesterday. But on Twitter, with those for those of you who have been following me, I've been in a rather lengthy discussion back and forth. It was kind of a discussion back and forth on some issues of pacifism, not going up against the rulers that are placed over us because God controls that and we're supposed to submit to them. Kind of the situation in Romans 13 where people forget about saying that that's talking about righteous government that goes after evil. We are expressly commanded to stand against evil governments, but Christians don't want to accept that because they don't, again, with the training that they're receiving. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, I should have said hello. With the training they've received in their seminaries, in their catechisms, in their Sunday schools, whatever, they've been taught the state-sanctioned, the Roman government, Roman Empire sanctioned orthodoxy. And I've been going back and forth on that on Twitter, and I put up a post in the community board here on my YouTube channel. You can see the post I just put up, and I also put these same things up on Twitter. And I've just got to speak to it. I just can't hope that everybody here on YouTube will see the posts. And I know a lot of you don't have Twitter. But I'm going to address the post that I put up on the community board in the tab above, the last one, specifically about this whole situation about pacifism. Because as I explained in my Eisenman series and my religion series, we don't really understand the idioms, euphemisms, allegories, symbolism, etc. of the first century. And of course, I've talked about that before. We keep trying to understand the scriptures based on the King James Version or some other translation, which definitely has, whether you want to believe it or not, I guess that's your choice, but it has things in there that support the government, because even though they try to get it close to the scripture, when you go from Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English or whatever, the choice of the words you use to translate can totally change the meaning of the scripture. And if you don't understand the idioms and euphemisms, you're going to mistake what the message is. And the Romans did that on purpose, and people just don't understand that. So, an oft-quoted scripture to justify pacifism and being killed by the enemy, laying down your arms and just letting them walk over you, because that's what Christ would have done, and that's what he did, which isn't really true, because they don't understand the true history of the first century. It was not a pastoral century. It was filled with warfare, guerrilla warfare, the efforts of people trying to throw off Roman rule. They just didn't give in to it. But people just don't understand this. They think, God has given you the commandment to put away all evil from you. Well, people think that means just in you. No, it means in those who control you too. One of the issues came up about, I won't go into that. I'll just mention this. Why didn't King David, before he became king, he had been anointed by Samuel already, why didn't he just go ahead and kill Saul, who was an evil king at that point? Well, one of the reasons is he says, it's the Lord's anointed. The Lord anointed him, so I'm not going to do that. But there was another reason that everybody's totally missing. You don't war against your family. And Saul was his father-in-law. David married Saul's daughter. And Jonathan, Saul's son, was his best friend. You don't war against your family and friends. So he put it off. Yes, he let God do it, but the commandment is you take evil out. And he would have been totally justified if Saul hadn't been his family to eliminate him. But people don't understand these things because they read in what they've been taught in, like I said, in seminaries and Sunday schools and from their preachers, etc. Now let me go to an oft-quoted scripture. And those of you who follow me on Twitter, and read my community posts. You've already seen it, but I want to put it up here on YouTube, okay, for however long it lasts, because it will get shifted over to Odyssey. An oft-quoted scripture saying that we're supposed to just be pacifists, that we're not supposed to respond, that we're just supposed to accept anything the evil does to us because, that's our trial and that'll give us a greater crown in the next life. Well, failing to stand up against evil will not win you a crown. If anything, it will, in the parable of being hot or cold or lukewarm, you're going to be lukewarm and spewed out of the mouth of God. Matthew 10:16 goes something like this: be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. The only thing people see there is, well, wise as a serpent. Okay, well, you slither around, you stay low. They get that kind of a connotation from it. And as harmless as doves, they think, oh, that means that you don't hurt anything. These are people that have never been out where doves live. They've never been in the wild. They've never really watched what happens. So I'm going to tell you, because I do. I spend a lot of time watching nature. And Jesus was giving instructions on how to fight back, not to just sit there and take it. He was telling you how to fight it. And this is what it means. Be as wise as serpents. A serpent will not strike, at least it tries not to. It uses a tactic where it tries to ward off the attacker, because the serpent knows that if he goes into battle, he could get injured. So you don't go into battle. You're as wise as a serpent. You don't go into battle unless you've prepared yourself and you have eliminated as many of the possibilities of you getting injured as possible. You don't strike unless you have eliminated as many of the problems that may happen to you, injury or getting killed, as possible. This was a guerrilla warfare instruction by Jesus, not pacifism. The second half, people say, well, what about the doves? If you have ever watched doves in the wild, yeah, they're pretty non-confrontational. That's true. They don't go out looking for trouble. They don't go looking for violence. They don't go looking to get in a fight. But if you threaten one of their mates or their offspring, they will rip you apart. I'll give you an example. I was outside one day and I saw a hawk trying to get some dove. He was after a dove, one dove that was alone. As soon as that hawk swooped down on that dove a couple of times, the dove managed to dodge it, but it was only a matter of time before that hawk was going to get it. A whole flock of doves attacked that hawk. And I saw them attack it so viciously that the hawk fell from the sky, landed on its head, and bled to death. So the point is, when you're as harmless as a dove, you don't start the fight. But when the fight starts, you better damn well finish it, and with violence and surprise. So I don't want to hear any more of this pacifism when people quote these scriptures and they don't know what they mean. We're killing ourselves. We're submitting to our own demise because we listen to Roman Empire instructions to keep us impotent. I could also talk about the turn your other cheek. You know about that scripture, when somebody smites you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. Yeah, that's a specific circumstance. And we'll talk about that some other time. But I want you to think about this today. For those of you who keep telling me that we just have to take this from the evil government. Think about what I just said about being as wise as a serpent, not striking until you're pretty sure you're not going to get hurt, and being as harmless as doves. In other words, you don't start a fight, but you damn well finish it. Okay, everybody. That's all I got. I can't see the chat too well today because I am outside. I'm with some friends, and I just, after I posted those things on Twitter and on the community board this morning, I just felt, I just got to put this out as a video. That way it'll be up on Odysee too, and more people can see it. Please share this. I'm going to ask you to share this one because I'm really, I've been doing this so long. And I shouldn't lose my temper. I shouldn't lose hope. But pacifism is a weapon that's being used against us, and we are just too willing to not do anything. In Hebrew, believe means that you act, that you do. It's not just a thought. It's not just, some thing that makes you feel good. Belief means action, that you do something. All right? Okay, everybody, I got to go. Just wanted to deliver that message to you today. Y'all take care out here.